This Week in Connecticut with Dennis House starts now.
Good morning, everyone. It is Sunday, October 27th, 2024. Straight ahead today, the state's hottest race is the battle for the 5th Congressional District. Democratic Congresswoman Jahana Hayes versus Republican challenger George Logan. You'll hear from both today. And we will have analysis from Hartford Courant columnist Kevin Rennie, who also previews the U.S. Senate debate between Senator Chris Murphy and Matthew Corey. Plus, what am I doing shooting hoops with UConn coach Dan Hurley and the Archbishop of Hartford? First up on This Week, though, the final push to voters in the 5th District, that sprawling district that encompasses the Litchfield Hills, part of suburban Hartford, all the way to Meriden. Our exclusive News 8 Emerson College and the Hill poll shows a tight race between the Democratic Congresswoman Jahana Hayes and her challenger, former State Senator George Logan. With just over a week until Election Day, we invited both candidates to come on this program. Mr. Logan declined, but did recently talk about his voting record with News 8. Much more on that coming up. But we begin with Congresswoman Jahana Hayes and her final message to voters. Congresswoman Hayes, we thank you so much for sharing your time with us. I know it's a busy time. So I need to ask you, last couple of days of campaigning, you've studied the polls, you've looked at the voter rolls. What is your duty in the next few days? Do you go door to door? Do you target those potential undecideds?
Well, thanks for having me. And in the last couple days, it's all about turnout. So it's whatever we need to do to get to people. On the phone, on the doors, engaging all of our networks, having people within those networks make sure that people know where their polling location is, that they're registered. But at this point, it's all about turnout. And for me, it's a little tricky because I'm still doing my day job. So I still have responsibilities in the congressional office, and it's just kind of making the time, getting in where you fit in.
We have early voting now. Have you voted yet?
I have not.
You have not. How does it work in terms of going after those votes with early voting?
Well, I was scheduled to vote on the first day, and then I went down to my headquarters, and there was a steady stream of people coming in asking questions. So you can register and vote in person. I plan to vote early before Election Day. And we get a report every day of the number of people who have voted. I think in my district on the first day, it was posted that there were about 10,000 people who voted. So every day those numbers are uploaded, and we know, okay, these are people we don't have to target. We can go after some other groups of people.
If you meet a voter who's undecided, what is your argument to him or her to vote for you?
I tell them what I've done. Well, I always start every conversation with a voter, a constituent, what's important to you? And generally, they tell me what's important to them, and I tell them what I've done on that issue or the things that they care about and what I plan to do, what I will do. And generally, those are really positive conversations, because the one thing that people can expect from me is that even if we don't agree on an issue, I'm going to tell them exactly where I stand and what I've done and explain to them why. And people generally walk away with a really positive impression.
And if you meet someone who says they're leaning towards voting for George Logan, what's your argument to that person that they should reconsider, in your judgment?
Well, it's the same thing. I tell them, you know, what I've done. Yeah, I have a demonstrated record of delivering in this district, and I talk to them about the work that I've done, the bills that I've passed, the legislation that I've helped to move forward, and the things that I support. But I think the overall argument is that many of the things that people care about won't even get a vote on the floor in a Republican majority. I know women's reproductive health, child tax credit, the economy, a lot of environmental issues are things that Speaker Johnson does not support. So they would not even get a vote on the floor. So it's not just about CTO 5 and this district, it's overall who controls the House of Representatives and how we will have the ability to even debate these issues.
The top of your ticket, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, have said that Donald Trump is dangerous for America, and that some of the people who support him, if they're in positions, would also be dangerous. Do you believe that George Logan, if elected, would be dangerous for Connecticut?
I can't answer that, but what I can say is that he said he would support Donald Trump, and I know that the policies that Donald Trump has put forward have not helped the people in this district. I've seen in the Congress that whenever someone stands up to him or disagrees with him, They are primaried, they're frozen out, they are removed from committees. So my challenge is, and what worries me, is that the people around him, the checks and balances are not working, because the people around him are not standing up and saying this is just wrong and we should all be able to agree upon that. And I don't think that any one person alone would be able to do that.
As you know, he has criticized you for not being in the state during the Democratic convention when there were some floods in the Naugatuck Valley, some serious devastating floods. If you had to do it over again, would you have flown back?
Well, I tried to fly back. I mean, I was there with the entire federal delegation, all 5 members of Congress, both members of the Senate, every single constitutional elected, and literally was on a thread with my staff trying to get a flight anywhere, into White Plains, into New Haven, into Hartford. At the time when I left, we hadn't gotten the weather report. The earliest I could have came back when we finally found a flight was on Tuesday, and at that point I was working for a disaster declaration. If I had to do it over again, I mean, I couldn't. It was beyond my control. But I stayed in contact with every one of my elected municipal leaders. I was on the phone with them through text. And in 2024, I can work like that. And when I'm in D.C., I deal with local people all the time. So I believe I did everything I could, but also have worked over my entire 6 years to make sure we had money for FEMA, for climate mitigation, for resistance, for infrastructure, all of the things that are necessary at a time like this. Again, it goes back to a Speaker Mike Johnson who doesn't even want to bring us back to replenish those funds. They don't believe in climate issues. They want to defund the National Weather Service. So it's not just what happens on the day of a storm, it is all of the preparation leading up to that point and the recovery after. I was told by the first selectman of Middlebury that he's never seen a declaration come this fast, that he's lived through other flooding and catastrophic weather events, and he credited it to us literally being on the ground, being able to work on this in real time.
What is the plan for the next week here? What's your strategy? How do you, are there certain parts of the 5th District you need to target?
Well, we're trying to be everywhere. I still have some official events that are on my calendar from the congressional side that I have to attend to. So while I am doing those things, I have volunteers throughout the state. We have several rallies, phone banks. We have a Souls to the Polls event coming up in Waterbury. We have a rally for Black women in Hartford. I have things all in Litchfield County. So literally just turning out the vote and reminding people that you can't be complacent. You have to vote.
Is there a prediction in voter turnout? You know, the breakdown that you believe you'll win by?
No, I'm
we always have to ask these questions.
I'm smarter than that, but I think that it will be, I think that turnout will be good. The enthusiasm on the ground is real. People are really excited. People are stopping by the headquarters, sending me pictures of them with an I voted sticker. And I think that on November 5th, we'll see that the people in this district have elevated their voices in this election.
Congresswoman Jahana Hayes, we appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Best of luck. And coming up, the Republican who is challenging Hayes, George Logan.